should get these numbers.
Go.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Susan Brown, Director of the Center for Better Bones and the Better Bone Foundation. It's my pleasure to be with you today to have this brief chat to talk about a topic of great importance, the alkaline diet, and also to be able to answer your questions personally. At the Center for Better Bones, it's our mission, and it has been our mission for almost 30 years now, to explore the natural human potential for regenerating bone health, maintaining bone health, building bone health naturally at any stage of life, and to build overall better health. Our motto is Better Bones, Better Body, and that is indeed the title of the first book that I wrote. At the Center for Better Bones, we do many things to help share the new research. I write a blog that goes to tens of thousands of women and men every week. You can find nearly 1,000 articles on my website, betterbones.com, to see what is the latest in natural health maintenance. We also do chats like this, which are really very informative and a lot of fun. And of course, we write books and do research. Today, we want to fulfill our mission, a little part of our mission, by explaining to you one of the very important components for maintaining health, which is this component of the alkaline diet. Now, as I start, let me explain that there are many diets today. There are vegetarian diets, there are vegan diets, there's ketogenic diets, there's paleo diets, there's high-fat diets, there's low-fat diet, and there's even a FODMAP diet. There's all kinds of diets that are designed to meet the needs of different individuals. And those diets may be perfectly fine for the person who is using them. But what we know is any of those diets and all of those diets will maximize health only if they can achieve what we call an alkaline complement, or I like to call the alkalizing overlay. In other words, the alkaline diet is really more a complementary approach that tweaks your individual diet to put your body chemistry, your pH balance, into the state that is most optimum. And that optimum pH balance allows the cells to function better, the enzymes to function better, the tissues to be more healthy. So any diet is going to benefit from having an alkalizing tilt. And I'm going to show you how to use the diet, no matter what diet you take, to create that optimum pH chemistry. Now let's just take a second and talk about pH, because probably we've all heard of acid rain, that's great, but many of us haven't thought about pH since earth science class probably. Remember how the pH scale goes? 7 is neutral. From 0 to 7, or 0 to 6 towards 7 is acid. And from 7 on is alkaline. So we have things like battery acid, hydrochloric acid that are very acid. We have many neutral substances, like pure water should be neutral with a pH of 7. And we have alkaline substances, like on the far end, like bleach and baking soda and these kind of things. It is that any liquid has a pH. And that really is a measure of free hydrogen ions. Any liquid, and all the liquids in the body have a particular pH. You can measure your saliva, you can measure your blood, you can measure any liquid. While we don't have time to go completely into pH, but I have written a whole book on the topic that I'd be happy to share with you, and we have a whole website on the topic, the Alkaline for Life website, what we're going to talk about here is the fact that the body has a mandatory situation where the pH has to be very specific in order for us to survive. And in fact, while through metabolism and eating food and exercise we produce all sorts of acids, but free hydrogen ions, so to speak, but the body buffers and excretes all of them, most all of them, and that's the catch to the story. Like you might not realize, as I exhale right now, I'm exhaling acid. Carbon dioxide is carbonic acid that's being transformed and excreted from the body. So the body has many ways to keep pH in balance. And as a matter of fact, if your blood isn't right, just a little bit above 7, you very quickly die. And so the body has put a high priority on maintaining pH balance, and that's where muscles and bones come in, particularly bones, because our skeleton is a great storage house of alkali reserve compounds to rescue the body when it gets to be a little too acid. But I've already told you the body does many things to keep in balance. So how do we get too acid? Well, as it turns out, through evolution, we developed many, many mechanisms to keep in pH balance. But there's one tiny area where we can accumulate acids. Not enough acids to be life-threatening, but enough acids to make our chemistry less efficient and to deplete our reserves in the bone and in the muscle. That way we can accumulate acids is through an imbalanced diet. So just real quickly to explain to you, we evolved for millions of years eating a diet of a lot of plants and nuts and seeds and vegetables, whatever we could get really. And the chemistry, the kidneys and the functioning of the body are based on a diet that's largely alkaline. Today, we find that the intake of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, all those original sort of plant-based foods, we don't consume as much of those, and we consume many more processed foods. Foods that are kind of denatured, foods that the minerals have been taken out of. So you'll see everything from a high sugar intake to high alcohol intake, which is quite acid forming, to all these processed foods, all these foods that the minerals have been taken out of. And one of the secrets I'm going to tell you in just a minute is pH balance is really about mineral adequacy. And we're going to talk about that in a second. And so the body really needs to maintain a perfect pH balance. And the way we know that you can accumulate acids because of diet. And so what we've developed are these charts. As it turns out, every food you eat, most foods you eat, have an effect of either leaving an acid residue, in other words, creating free hydrogen that has to be buffered by the body because the body cannot tolerate a high level of acid. Specifically, from food, the kidney will burn if your acid gets too high, if the urine is too acidic. And so you will actually draw out minerals from bone, and you'll draw out substances we're going to talk about from muscle to buffer those acids because you cannot survive other ways. And the first priority of the body is to keep the blood pH stable because you die in a very short period of time if you don't. So the body's all geared up to maintain pH balance. So, but back to the food story. So certain foods leave an alkali residue, and these are basically foods that are high in minerals like potassium, which is attached to citrate, which is an alkalizing compound, high in zinc, high in magnesium. A lot of these foods which are lost in food processing. So you have foods that are alkalizing, and this chart is available on betterbones.com and on our website, Alkaline for Life, if you'd like. And you have foods that are acid forming. So it turns out that in modern society, that we eat too many acid forming foods and not enough alkalizing foods. And so people get a little acidic tilt. I'm going to show you, you can actually measure that by looking at your first morning urine. I've worked with my mentor, Dr. Russell Jaffe, a really renowned physician for many years, and we have clearly documented that pH, and many other researchers have documented that urine pH is affected by food, and that the pH of the urine has a big effect on overall body health. So, there are foods that alkalize, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, foods that acidify. We've gotten out of balance today. And what happens is, we don't die, we do perfectly fine, but we have suboptimal functioning. So this talk is really about the benefits of the alkaline diet. So let's take a minute and just go over some of these benefits of the alkaline diet. A diet when you get enough base precursors or enough alkalizing precursors through the foods you eat to buffer the acids that you get from either these full array of processed foods, sugar, alcohol, all kinds of food that's been demineralized, and excessive protein. Protein is very important to the body. You need a certain amount of protein. Some people need 70 grams. Big exercisers might need 100 grams. Weightlifters might need a little more. But if you take more protein than you need, that protein is metabolized in the body and it creates a sort of sulfuric acid from the sulfur-containing amino acids. Just like when we burn fossil fuels, we create a sulfuric acid that goes up to the skies and comes down in the form of acid rain. And we all know the effects of acid rain on the environment. We create our own internal acid rain when we have too many acid-forming foods and liquids, drinks we take into the body, and too few alkalizing. We can tolerate that, but it costs a lot to the body. Let's look at some of the costs of having even a slight tilt towards metabolic acidosis. And by metabolic acidosis, we're really talking about that acidosis that's created from foods, from metabolizing foods. Got it? It's a complicated topic, but you can quickly see why we at the Center for Better Bones are really asking everyone to adjust their diet to be alkalizing no matter what it is, because it will be a sign that you have enough minerals to do all the things the body needs to do and to maintain proper pH balance. So why do you want to maintain proper pH balance? What are the benefits of the alkaline diet? If you go to betterbones.com and you search around, you're going to find a whole data bank I provided on hundreds of studies showing the benefits of pH balance and the effects, the damaging effects of even a slight acidic tilt to the chemistry. The damaging effects to bone, but also to many other aspects. Hundreds of articles. It's a very popular topic today. The benefits of an alkaline diet. One is that when you alkalize, we know you're providing adequate minerals. I think it was Linus Pauling said that every single disorder can be traced back to a lack of minerals. Today we see a depletion of the soils, we see a depletion of our foods, and we certainly don't even start out eating enough of the fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds we should have. Just alone to get the potassium requirement established by the government, which is so we know that because the alkalizing compounds are attached to minerals like potassium and magnesium and calcium, that if we have a proper pH, we have enough minerals. So the benefits of an alkaline diet provides adequate minerals, extremely important. A second benefit is that it builds bone strength. As I was suggesting before, nature was pretty wise. Nature said, this biochemical plant needs a very specific pH to function. It's not going to function if that pH, it's got to be slightly alkaline, or else the enzymes are not going to work. Quickly, you are going to die. Very quickly. It doesn't take long. So nature said, well, we can't tell what these humans are going to be doing over time, so we better build lots of alkalizing reserve in this body. So even if a person has to fast, even if there's no food, even if, I don't think nature ever thought, even if we ate such a junk food diet, I don't know if Mother Nature was thinking about that, but she certainly said in times of fast, in times where there's not supply, we're going to fill this body with alkalizing reserves, and those reserves are in the bone. The skeleton is actually a gigantic storehouse of alkalizing reserves, storing most of your calcium, half of your magnesium, a great deal of your potassium, your zinc. Many minerals are stored in bone and in the watery solution around bone, like potassium is highly stored in the watery solution around bone. And if you get slightly acidic, zoom, that potassium is drawn out with its alkalizing compounds to buffer that, to bring that blood pH up. So we have a storehouse we're walking around with in our bones. But if we call on that storehouse too much, if our chemistry dips too low into acid, we're going to deplete the bones. And in fact, it's very interesting. Significant serious researchers have calculated that just given the average acid load of the average American, which is about 50 milliequivalents a day, if not 100 of acid, over a lifetime, that is enough loss of calcium from bone and the alkalizing compounds attached to the calcium to account for loss of half of the skeleton. And it's curious, if you look at the average American woman, for example, and men, it's pretty similar. As you go from 35 to 85, we will lose 45% of our muscle and 45% of our bone unless we do something very serious. And a lot of that loss is due to this low-grade acid load year after year, day after day. Interestingly enough, it's not just bone that suffers, it's also muscle, because when we're too acid, the body has another rescue mechanism. It breaks down muscle to get out glutamine, this amino acid, and with that glutamine, the body produces ammonia. Ammonia is a very strong alkalizing agent, so it helps to bring you out of this extreme acid state. However, that signifies a catabolic state. You're breaking down your own body. And some of you might have worked with people in nursing homes or ill people, older people, and their urine smells of ammonia. That's because they're breaking down their own body, taking down muscle to buffer the acids. So both bone and muscle suffer when we're too acid. With bone, we get osteoporosis and osteopenia. With muscle, we get sarcopenia, a loss of muscle. And both of these areas can be greatly helped. I work with many athletes. I do research for companies that produce products for athletes because athletes get a little acidotic when they do all this exercise, and so they want special mineral compounds, special ways to alkalize so they can keep their peak performance up. The other thing, another important benefit, there's many benefits of the alkaline diet, but another important one is kidney and liver health. The kidneys are some of our biggest treasures. We could lecture a lot about the kidneys as a storehouse of really our energy, and as far as the bone thing is concerned, kidneys regulate the minerals that will stay in the body and out of the body. They regulate the pH of the fluids in the body, and it's very tedious on the kidneys to have a high acid load. Like I say, the kidney can't tolerate a pH much below 5, certainly not 4.5, or else they will burn the delicate tubules. And so the kidney suffers a lot when we have a constant acid load, and so does the liver. And as a matter of fact, recent research has shown that if you have a nice alkaline diet, it can enhance liver detoxification. And of course, the liver is the organ there that's ready and has to detoxify everything we're exposed to. So the kidney and liver are important. The other thing to remember is that all the enzymes really need a particular pH. Many of the enzymes need a particular pH to function. These catalysts that send signals to get the chemical reactions going. The protein synthesis. Protein synthesis can be kind of inefficient or it can be very efficient. And if our pH gets a little bit towards an acid tilt, it becomes inefficient. So for proper pH, for proper protein metabolism, we need it. And it's interesting, they even did research on cerebral energy pools. In other words, the energy you have in your brain is affected by pH and a slightly acid tilt, and there's not as much energy pool available for the brain. It's really kind of interesting, not only physical energy, but mental energy is affected by the situation with pH. Interesting also is that as we get older, the kidneys get weaker, so we don't alkalize so well. Years ago, I started working with children, measuring children. Little children will have a nice pH in their urine because the kidneys are strong. They can produce bicarbonate and they can buffer the acids. Well, there's a lot we could talk about here, but as you get older, there's a greater tendency to have that tilt towards acidity. So as you get older, all the more importance to develop an alkaline diet. So the benefits of an alkaline diet, many of the benefits we see, many benefits of the alkaline diet that are really very important. I think there's a lot of different things I could talk about, but there's so many questions. So let's try to answer a few of the questions on pH in the next few minutes. And if you have certain other topics you'd like to talk about, be sure you can bring them up. We'll cover as many as we can. The first question I got was, does an alkaline diet really help bone health? I am losing bone faster than I can hold on to. I don't know why. I'm seeing a doctor and just had a bone density test done. And she tried a low acidic diet, but she was looking at a diet for kidney health. So yes, an alkaline diet will really help. And remember, the issue here is that if you can get your first morning urine to be 6.5 to 7.5, that very likely means you have enough minerals. And when we're talking about bone health, we're talking about providing enough minerals. And it's kind of interesting, even though the average person says, well, I eat well, I had a banana today and I had some cauliflower, they're not getting near that 13 servings of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds that you need to really be able to appropriately alkalize. And in fact, the researchers who worked on bone health, who alkalized people and built bone, they didn't even try with diet. They said it's too hard. Let's just give supplements like potassium citrate, mineral supplements in alkalizing forms. You can certainly build bone. If you go to betterbones.com, you'll find a lot of research on this. You can build bone, and an alkaline diet is an important part of it. Now, this person who wrote, if she's losing bone right now, she's probably going to need very high-quality supplementation because she's not going to be able to get enough of those minerals and bone-building compounds in the diet. Remember, measure your first morning urine. At the Center for Better Bones, we've produced a whole pH test kit. In fact, it's like this right here. If you say, I wonder, am I laboring under chronic low-grade metabolic acidosis, you just get the kit, you test your pH. My book comes in here too, the Acid Alkaline Food Guide. So if you're like overwhelmed with this talk and say, I do not understand this, just get this little book. It's been translated into many languages because all over the world, savvy people realize that pH is important. And you can understand it better. It's not really complicated, and it's the same kind of tilt towards a plant-based diet that so promotes health in so many, many ways. Another person writes that they are confused about the best diet for osteoporosis. They're a vegetarian. Now, what I have to say is that vegetarianism is great. Now, but if you eat, say, I happen to like a lot of pasta, a lot of refined food, I do a lot of bread, then you're going to still have an acidic tilt, even though you're vegetarian. And many vegetarians I see get interested in the alkaline diet, but then they have too low protein. So you want to make sure, we're saying maybe 60, 70 grams of protein. Be sure you get enough protein. And this person had a lot of questions about the different nutrients like vitamin K2 and should they use calcium citrate. All those issues are important. Certainly, we have established the 20 key bone-building nutrients. You can find them on my website, betterbones.com. All those nutrients are important. Each individual case, if you're severely losing bone, it should be looked at carefully. Start with your baseline nutrients, alkalize, get your exercise. You'll be in a lot better stead. Let's see if we can pick up one or two other questions. Yeah, here's somebody, Patty Ford just says protein is very important. Well, I totally agree. I totally agree. And if you say, I like 120 grams of protein, I feel great, then just make sure you alkalize. Make sure you can get your pH in the morning to be 6.5 to 7.5. You're probably going to have to do some alkalizing mineral supplements. Or maybe you can drink a lot of lemon juice and eat a lot of vegetables. And that's a very good point. Protein is very essential to bone. I've heard apple cider vinegar helps to keep your body alkaline. Well, that's right. Apple cider vinegar has malic acid. When you metabolize that malic acid, it's turned into bicarbonate and water. And what a good point, because I also just mentioned lemon juice. People may say, how the heck lemon juice is acid forming? How is that going to alkalize? Well, what happens is lemon juice and apple cider vinegar, they may taste acid, they do taste acid, but when the body metabolizes them, they're converted into alkalizing or base forming. So don't be deceived if you say this tastes like acid. This is why in this book we calculate which foods are acid forming and if they're highly acid forming or low acid forming, and which foods are base forming. It's not based on taste, it's based on the metabolism of that food. Somebody else says alkaline prevents disease. And that's really true. There are many, that's right, that because your chemistry is in a better situation, your immune system is more potent, you're producing proteins better, the cells are all functioning better, the enzymes are functioning better. That is very, very true. Someone else just said that's a great book. Well, I thank you, Donna. It's really so much fun to work with this because it doesn't matter. You can have the diet you like, but you must have an alkalizing overlay to that diet if you want the best possible benefits. Let's see. Let's see what else. Oh, lemons and limes alkalize, someone else mentioned. Well, that's really exactly true. And limes, we calculate, are a little tad bit better than lemons. Those are really important things. Let's see what else we could comment on here today. Please show a replay of this video. My video stopped playing. You know, I noticed when I did this presentation there was a little lag, I think. So we will definitely post this on Facebook and people can go back and look at it. And don't hesitate, when you watch this on Facebook, write us your comments. We try to keep track of the questions. There's quite a few of them, but we like to try to pay attention. This whole issue of pH balance is extremely important, and there's so many facets to it, so don't worry if you don't get it all. You know, got time for just a couple more questions, and one question I see here is about alkaline water. So our position on that is what we're looking for is a high mineral content in the water or a high dissolved solids or high carbonates. In fact, I was in Europe a bit ago, and if you lived in Europe, you could really get high mineral water. And in fact, the mineral water that comes from the mountains, they classify it as low mineral, medium mineral, high mineral. And that high mineral water you can't even buy in the U.S. because it tastes hard and the Americans don't like it. You might have all had some well water at one time that was hard water. But that mineral water, high mineral content water, is very good. And if you lived in those areas, you would get lots of calcium, lots of magnesium, lots of carbonate from that. Those are really good. When it comes to the mineral water, we don't have true mineral water in this country, really high mineral content. And so what people have done is develop this. There's these machines that try to separate the hydrogen ions from the hydroxy ions, the acid from the base. I have not found those machines to be effective at alkalizing. What we want is to add more minerals, not to just separate the hydrogen ions from the base, because the essence of the health from an alkaline diet is mineral adequacy, because those minerals are absolutely essential for every single function. And because our diet is so low in minerals and because the soils are becoming depleted, yeah, so we do not. I think it's not a good use of money, actually, those machines. Now, if somebody wants to show me, many companies have approached me, if you want to show me that your machine really helps your pH, then we'll talk about it. What else we got going on? Seems like very useful. Let's see. Oh, somebody wanted to know, let's see. Yeah, somebody did mention this question of, being older. If I'm older, should I really still make this attempt to alkalize? And let me just close with this thought that the researchers on pH, and this is one of the major researchers and an elegant researcher, is Linda Frassetto at the University of California, who's written beautiful things. And if you go to my website or look in my book, on the pH book, you'll find all kinds of references to her work and many other really good researchers. And what she points out, that just aging itself, the kidney becomes weak. In fact, she told me that half of the American adults, the majority of Americans as they get older, are in kidney failure. That is moderate kidney failure, but still it's kidney failure. And this can be seen on your blood chemistry by the kidney filtration rate. And it's so important to protect the kidneys, so the alkaline diet at any age will be a really big help, no matter what. No matter what, get back to those higher, we always say at least 2 cups of vegetables for lunch and dinner, a few pieces of fruit if you can tolerate it, lots of nuts and seeds, the pulses, which are things like lentils and mung beans and these very small seeds. This alkaline acid food chart will help you. You just go and pick more things on the alkaline side. And we tell you which ones are highly alkalizing, which ones are more or less alkalizing. You're always going to need protein. You're going to need acid-forming foods. But at any age, move towards that balance. Sounds like the best way to do it. Someone else just suggested that we just mention in closing the Alkaline for Life website. Oh, and let me show you. That is a website we've produced that has a great deal of information on pH balance. And you can find a lot of resources there, as well as if you want to get the pH test kit. So here we're talking our 2 websites, betterbones.com, a website we've been working on for decades now with probably 1,000 articles on bone health. So go there, take advantage. Don't let anybody tell you got to use a drug for your bones. Find out what's happening. Alkaline for Life, a website that really is encouraging everyone to get back to alkalizing, which is largely based on a plant-based diet with adequate protein. I'm Susan Brown, the Center for Better Bones, Alkaline for Life. It's really my pleasure to be with you. It's fun doing these chats. Write in your questions. We'll attend to them next week. And for now, signing off. See you later.